Authenticity means showing up as your true self, unfiltered and unapologetic. It's about saying what you truly mean, doing what aligns with your values, and living in a way that honors your identity. Niceness, on the other hand, often prioritizes pleasing others over being true to yourself. It means agreeing when you want to disagree, staying silent when you want to speak, or going along with something that doesn't feel right because you're afraid of creating tension. While niceness might seem harmless or even virtuous, it often comes at a cost. Every time you prioritize niceness over authenticity, you chip away at your sense of self-worth and integrity. You teach yourself that other people's comfort matters more than your truth. Practicing authenticity doesn't mean you have to be blunt or unkind. It means you have to be real. It means that you value your voice and your needs enough to express them honestly. Being authentic requires courage because it often challenges the fear of rejection or disapproval. But authenticity is the foundation of self-respect and meaningful relationships. When you hide behind niceness, you risk building connections that are shallow or one-sided. People can't fully know or respect you if you aren't showing them your true self. Being nice might keep things peaceful on the surface, but it prevents you from experiencing the depth and honesty that real relationships offer. The fear of conflict is one of the main reasons people choose niceness over authenticity. Many people believe that being honest will create tension or upset others, so they avoid expressing their true feelings. But the reality is that avoiding conflict doesn't eliminate it, it only delays it. Suppressing your thoughts or feelings might keep the peace temporarily, but over time it can lead to resentment. When you hold back your truth for the sake of niceness, you aren't avoiding problems, you're letting them fester. On the other hand, authenticity allows you to address issues openly and constructively. Speaking your truth might be uncomfortable in the moment, but it prevents misunderstandings and builds trust in the long run. Another challenge of choosing authenticity over niceness is learning to set boundaries. Many people equate being nice with being accommodating, even at the expense of their own needs. They say yes to things they don't want to do, agree to situations that drain them, or tolerate behavior that makes them uncomfortable. But true kindness includes kindness to yourself. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's a way of honoring your time, energy, and well-being. When you set boundaries, you're not rejecting others, you're simply affirming your own worth. Boundaries create clarity in relationships and ensure that your interactions are based on mutual respect. Authenticity also requires self-awareness. It's not just about what you say to others, it's about what you say to yourself. Being authentic means understanding your own feelings, desires, and values and being honest with yourself about them. It means recognizing when you're acting out of fear or obligation rather than genuine care or intention. Ask yourself why you're saying yes to something or why you're staying quiet in a situation. Are you being true to yourself or are you trying to avoid discomfort? Self-awareness is the key to breaking free from the habit of niceness. It helps you identify the moments when you're tempted to prioritize others' comfort over your own truth. Choosing authenticity over niceness can be challenging, especially if you're used to putting others first. It might feel uncomfortable to speak up, say no, or set boundaries. You might worry about how others will react or fear that they'll see you differently. But the truth is, you can't control how others perceive you. What you can control is how you show up. Living authentically isn't about changing other people's opinions, it's about living in alignment with who you are. Some people might not like it when you stop prioritizing niceness, but that's okay. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to live a life that's true to yourself. Over time, practicing authenticity becomes liberating. When you stop pretending, you free yourself from the pressure to be someone you're not. You no longer have to second-guess your words or actions because they come from a genuine place. Authenticity simplifies your relationships because it eliminates the need for masks or facades. It allows you to connect with others on a deeper level because they're interacting with the real you. People who value you for your authenticity are the ones who truly deserve to be in your life. Authenticity also empowers you to take ownership of your choices. When you act out of niceness, you often feel like a passenger in your own life, going along with what others want. But when you act authentically, you reclaim your agency. You make decisions based on what's right for you, not what's convenient for others. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others, it means you stop sacrificing yourself for them. Authenticity allows you to give and connect from a place of abundance rather than obligation. It's important to remember that authenticity is a practice, not a destination. It's something you have to choose repeatedly, especially in moments of discomfort or uncertainty. You won't always get it right, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep trying. The more you practice authenticity, the more natural it becomes. You'll start to notice how much lighter and freer you feel when you're no longer weighed down by the pressure to be nice. You'll see how much stronger and more fulfilling your relationships become when they're built on honesty and mutual respect. And most importantly, you'll develop a deeper sense of self-worth because you'll know that you're living in alignment with who you truly are. Assertiveness is a quality that's often misunderstood. Many people shy away from being assertive because they fear being perceived as mean or aggressive. However, there is a significant difference between assertiveness and meanness. Assertiveness is about standing up for your rights, expressing your feelings, and communicating your needs clearly and confidently. It's about setting boundaries and asking for what you deserve without fear or hesitation. On the other hand, meanness stems from a desire to hurt, control, or belittle others. Assertiveness doesn't involve trying to dominate or intimidate anyone. It's about maintaining your self-respect and demanding the same from others. Being assertive means you're advocating for yourself, not putting anyone else down. It's a fundamental skill for building healthy, balanced relationships and preserving your own mental and emotional well-being. When you're assertive, you communicate with clarity and respect. You express your thoughts and emotions directly without resorting to passive-aggressive behavior or giving in to manipulation. Being assertive means saying what you need to say without apologizing for it or over-explaining. It doesn't mean being forceful or rude. It simply means being honest about what you want and need. It's important to understand that assertiveness is rooted in respect for both yourself and others. You're acknowledging your own needs while still being considerate of the other person's feelings. The key is to communicate with confidence but without malice. It's possible to be firm in your convictions without being harsh or unkind. Unfortunately, many people, particularly women, are socialized to be accommodating and to avoid conflict. Society often teaches that being nice and agreeable is the best way to get along with others. This message, however, comes at a price. It encourages the idea that your needs are less important than others and that it's better to stay quiet than to speak up for yourself. As a result, people who struggle with assertiveness may find themselves constantly bending over backward to please others, even at the expense of their own happiness or well-being. This pattern of behavior can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and burnout. When you constantly suppress your own voice to avoid conflict, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to express your true feelings, and that builds up over time. Assertiveness requires practice and the willingness to step outside your comfort zone. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've spent a long time accommodating others. However, the more you practice being assertive, the easier it becomes. The first step is to recognize that your needs and feelings are just as important as anyone else's. You deserve to be heard, and you have the right to stand up for yourself. It's okay to say no when you don't want to do something, and it's okay to ask for what you need. Being assertive isn't about being selfish or demanding. It's about showing respect for yourself and creating relationships that are based on mutual understanding. In contrast, meanness often comes from a place of insecurity or frustration. When someone is mean, they typically express their anger or dissatisfaction in a way that is designed to hurt or belittle others. They might raise their voice, use hurtful language, or act in a way that intimidates or controls. Meanness is reactive, driven by negative emotions and a lack of empathy for others. It's a form of communication that seeks to diminish someone else's value in order to elevate one's own. Assertiveness, on the other hand, is proactive. It's about expressing yourself calmly and clearly without resorting to attacks or put-downs. You can assert your needs and boundaries without making the other person feel less than. The goal of assertiveness is not to win or dominate. It's to ensure that your needs are met while still treating others with dignity and respect. One of the most important aspects of assertiveness is maintaining your boundaries. Boundaries are the limits you set for yourself and others in order to protect your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. When you don't assert your boundaries, you're allowing others to overstep them, which can lead to feelings of frustration, stress, and even resentment. By practicing assertiveness, you're telling others that you value yourself enough to protect your personal space, time, and energy. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't care about the other person. It means you care enough about yourself to ensure that your needs are met as well. Assertiveness is also essential for self-esteem. When you express your needs and feelings without fear, you send yourself a powerful message: you matter, and your voice deserves to be heard. The more you practice assertiveness, the more you reinforce your own self-worth. It allows you to cultivate a sense of confidence that isn't dependent on others' approval or validation. You're learning to trust yourself and believe in your own value, which is a crucial step in building a healthy, positive self-image. The idea that not everyone will like you is a reality many people struggle to accept. It's natural to want to be liked, to seek approval, and to feel accepted by those around us. However, the truth is that it's impossible to be universally liked by everyone, no matter how hard we try. There will always be people who don't resonate with your personality, your choices, or your values, and that's okay. In fact, coming to terms with this reality can be one of the most freeing and empowering steps in your personal growth. It's important to understand that trying to make everyone like you is not only an impossible goal, but also a path that leads to self-neglect and burnout. When we spend our energy trying to please everyone, we risk losing sight of who we truly are. The constant need for validation can make us shapeshift into someone we're not just to gain acceptance. We may start doing things that go against our true desires, beliefs, or boundaries to fit in, often compromising our own happiness in the process. This pattern can lead to a lack of authenticity as we present a version of ourselves that is more aligned with what others expect rather than who we truly are. This disconnection from our real selves creates internal tension, anxiety, and frustration because deep down we know we're not being honest with ourselves or with others. It's also crucial to recognize that liking someone is a deeply personal and subjective experience. People have their own preferences, biases, and experiences that shape their perceptions of others. What resonates with one person may not resonate with another. And that's a reflection of the diversity of human relationships. Some people may be drawn to your personality, while others may not connect with you in the same way. This doesn't diminish your worth or value as a person. It simply means that you can't be everything to everyone. Trying to force yourself to fit into a mold that's not natural to you will only lead to dissatisfaction on both sides. In fact, trying to be liked by everyone can also dilute your relationships. When you try to please everyone, you may spread yourself too thin, offering pieces of yourself to others while losing touch with the parts of you that matter most. This approach prevents you from building deep, meaningful connections with people who truly value you for who you are. Instead of cultivating genuine relationships, you may end up with superficial ones where you feel disconnected, misunderstood, or exhausted. True connection happens when you allow yourself to be authentic, and in doing so, you attract those who genuinely appreciate you for your uniqueness. Another reason it's important to accept that not everyone will like you is that it allows you to let go of unnecessary stress and pressure. The constant need for external approval can lead to a cycle of self-doubt, where you feel anxious about how others perceive you. When you release the idea that you need to be liked by everyone, you give yourself permission to live freely. This freedom means you can stop trying to fit into preconceived notions or meet unrealistic expectations and instead focus on what genuinely matters to you. This mental shift can reduce feelings of anxiety, increase your confidence, and make it easier to make decisions that align with your values and desires. One of the biggest misconceptions is that being liked by everyone will bring happiness. While it may feel nice to receive compliments and positive attention, this external validation is fleeting. True happiness doesn't come from the approval of others, it comes from within. It's the feeling of contentment and self-worth that comes from being aligned with your own values and being authentic to yourself. When you start embracing the idea that not everyone will like you, you free yourself from the pressure to perform for others. Instead of looking for external validation, you can begin to build internal validation. You become more self-assured, trusting that your worth doesn't depend on how others perceive you. Moreover, it's important to understand that rejection or criticism doesn't reflect your character or inherent value. It simply means that you may not be a fit for that person or that particular situation. That people may not like you for reasons beyond your control, such as their own insecurities, past experiences, or personal preferences. It's not a personal attack or a judgment on your worth as a human being. In fact, criticism can be a valuable tool for self-reflection and growth. Instead of viewing it as a negative, you can use it as an opportunity to learn more about yourself, your actions, and how you can improve in ways that align with your values. Learning to embrace the idea that not everyone will like you also allows you to stop seeking approval from those who are not aligned with your values or goals. Often, We may find ourselves trying to win the approval of people who don't have our best interests at heart or whose values don't align with ours. In these situations, even if we do succeed in gaining their approval, it may not bring the satisfaction or fulfillment we expected. Understanding that not everyone will like you frees you from chasing the approval of those who are not truly important in your life. Instead, you can focus your energy on building relationships with people who appreciate and support you for who you truly are. By accepting that not everyone will like you, you also learn to develop resilience in the face of rejection or criticism. Life is filled with ups and downs, and not every interaction or relationship will go as planned. Instead of letting rejection or disapproval define you, you learn to move forward with confidence, knowing that your value isn't contingent on others' opinions. This resilience helps you navigate life with a greater sense of purpose and peace as you begin to prioritize your own happiness and well-being above the need for external approval. Ultimately, when you stop worrying about being liked by everyone, you start living authentically and true to yourself. You attract the right people into your life, those who appreciate you for who you are, not for the persona you feel you need to present. When you focus on being genuine and confident in who you are, the right connections and opportunities will follow. Not everyone will like you, and that's not only okay, it's a necessary part of life. It's a sign that you're living on your own terms, and that's where true fulfillment begins. Societal conditioning shapes many aspects of our behavior, thoughts, and choices, often without us even realizing it. From a young age, we are taught what is considered acceptable, desirable, or normal within the context of our culture. These influences come from a variety of sources: family, education, media, peer groups, and even the broader social environment. While societal norms can provide a sense of order and community, they can also limit our personal growth, individual expression, and true potential. Challenging these ingrained norms is not just a rebellious act, it's a path to self-discovery and freedom. It's about questioning the values we've been taught and deciding for ourselves what truly aligns with our inner truth. One of the most common forms of societal conditioning is the pressure to conform to certain standards of success, beauty, or behavior. For instance, many people are conditioned to believe that financial wealth, career advancement, or public recognition are the ultimate markers of success. This can lead individuals to pursue goals that are not aligned with their authentic desires simply because they are seen as socially acceptable or desirable. People often find themselves stuck in jobs they dislike, living lifestyles that don't resonate with their true selves, or constantly seeking external validation because that is what society has told them they should strive for. However, the truth is that success and fulfillment are deeply personal, and they don't fit into a one-size-fits-all mold. Challenging societal conditioning allows individuals to redefine success on their own terms and focus on what genuinely makes them feel fulfilled and purposeful. Similarly, societal norms often dictate rigid standards of beauty, body image, and appearance. These standards can vary across cultures and time periods, but they consistently place value on certain physical traits, often excluding those who don't fit these ideals. People are conditioned to believe that beauty is something to be achieved or attained, which leads to insecurities, self-doubt, and a constant battle with one's appearance. However, when we challenge these conditioning forces, we open ourselves up to a more inclusive and diverse definition of beauty, one that doesn't rely on meeting unrealistic standards. By doing so, we can begin to appreciate our unique features and bodies for what they are, rather than trying to change them to fit into an externally imposed mold. In many societies, there are also deeply ingrained gender roles that dictate how men and women are expected to behave. Men are often conditioned to be stoic, strong, and independent, while women are encouraged to be nurturing, empathetic, and submissive. These roles limit the range of human expression and prevent individuals from fully experiencing life in all its complexity. When men are discouraged from showing vulnerability or emotions, it leads to emotional repression, isolation, and even mental health struggles. Similarly, when women are expected to prioritize the needs of others over their own, it can lead to burnout, resentment, and a lack of personal fulfillment. Challenging these societal roles means allowing people to be their authentic selves regardless of their gender. It means embracing vulnerability, emotional expression, and the freedom to define one's own path rather than adhering to prescribed societal roles that don't serve everyone equally. Another area where societal conditioning plays a significant role is in the realm of relationships. Many people grow up with specific ideas about what relationships should look like, whether romantic, familial, or platonic. Society often places expectations on how these relationships should be structured, who we should be with, and what role we should play in them. This can lead people to enter relationships for the wrong reasons, such as societal pressure to settle down, get married, or have children, even if these milestones don't align with their desires. People might also find themselves staying in toxic relationships because they feel obligated to uphold the image of a perfect partnership or family, even when it no longer serves them. By challenging societal conditioning in relationships, individuals can develop healthier, more fulfilling connections based on mutual respect, trust, and authentic desire, rather than external expectations. Being kind and being nice are often mistaken as the same, but in reality, they stem from completely different places. Kindness comes from a place of strength and compassion, while niceness is often rooted in fear of rejection, fear of conflict, or fear of making others uncomfortable. Kindness means standing firmly in your values and offering genuine care to others. But niceness is more about suppressing your own needs and feelings to maintain harmony, even when that harmony comes at a cost to your self-respect. The problem with niceness is that it often leads to resentment because it demands that you shrink yourself to make others comfortable. It requires you to silence your voice, ignore your boundaries, and prioritize someone else's feelings over your own truth. Choosing niceness over authenticity means living in a constant state of self-compromise. You might avoid conflict in the short term, but over time you end up sacrificing your integrity. Niceness doesn't build meaningful relationships, it builds imbalance. When you're constantly nice at the expense of your own needs, you give people permission to take you for granted. This isn't about blaming others, it's about recognizing the power you have to set the tone for how people treat you. If you continually suppress your voice, you teach people that your feelings and boundaries don't matter. But if you choose to be authentic instead of nice, you show them who you really are, and you invite them to meet you on equal footing. Being authentic isn't always easy. It means saying no when you mean it, even if it disappoints someone else. It means speaking up when something doesn't sit right with you, even if it feels uncomfortable in the moment. It means holding your ground when you feel disrespected, even if it creates tension. This doesn't mean you have to be harsh or confrontational. It means you have to be honest. Being firm doesn't make you unkind. It makes you strong. It shows others that you value yourself enough to demand the same respect from them. When you stop prioritizing being nice, you create space for relationships that are built on mutual respect and understanding. It's important to recognize that being nice isn't a requirement for being liked or valued. Often we fall into the trap of niceness because we're afraid that being honest will push people away. But the reality is, not everyone will like you no matter how nice you are. Trying to please everyone is an impossible task, and in the process, you lose sight of who you really are. Your worth isn't tied to how many people approve of you. It's tied to your ability to live authentically, to stand up for yourself, and to honor your own needs and desires. When you stop trying to be everything to everyone, you free yourself to be the most genuine version of yourself. This isn't about rejecting kindness or abandoning compassion. It's about redefining what it means to care for others. True kindness isn't about sacrificing yourself to make someone else happy. It's about offering care and support from a place of wholeness and self-respect. When you're kind, you give without losing yourself. When you're nice, you often give away too much, leaving yourself depleted and undervalued. Learning to choose kindness over niceness means recognizing your own value and refusing to compromise it for the sake of avoiding conflict. The shift from being nice to being authentic starts with self-awareness. Ask yourself why you're acting a certain way. Are you being nice because it's true to who you are, or because you're afraid of what might happen if you're honest? If your niceness is driven by fear, it's time to pause and reconsider. This doesn't mean you have to be confrontational, but it does mean you have to be honest with yourself about your motivations. Practicing authenticity is a skill that takes time, but it's one of the most empowering changes you can make. It requires you to trust yourself, to believe that your voice matters, and to know that you're worthy of being treated with respect. Not everyone will be comfortable with this change. Some people might resist when you start setting boundaries and speaking your truth. That's okay. You're not responsible for how others react to your authenticity. You're responsible for honoring yourself. This isn't about rejecting others. It's about elevating the way you show up in relationships. When you stop being nice, you challenge others to rise to the occasion. You show them that you're not willing to settle for superficiality or imbalance. You demand relationships that are built on strength, equality, and mutual respect. Letting go of niceness isn't about becoming unkind or unapproachable. It's about stepping into your power and showing the world who you truly are. It's about refusing to play small for the sake of someone else's comfort. It's about living fully, unapologetically, and authentically. When you choose authenticity over niceness, you open the door to deeper connections, greater self-respect, and a life that's true to who you are. There's a pattern many of us fall into without even realizing it, the habit of shrinking ourselves to make others comfortable. This can show up in countless ways: apologizing for things that aren't our fault, minimizing our accomplishments, staying silent when we should speak up, or constantly putting others' needs before our own. At first, it might seem harmless, even selfless, but over time, this habit eats away at our confidence, self-respect, and sense of identity. Shrinking yourself for others isn't a noble act of kindness, it's a betrayal of your own worth. But when you suppress your voice or needs to avoid conflict or make someone else feel more at ease, you lose a piece of yourself in the process. This habit often begins with good intentions. You want to maintain peace, avoid making waves, or be seen as agreeable and easygoing, but being agreeable often comes at a cost. Each time you say yes to something you don't want to do, each time you silence your feelings, and each time you downplay your talents or ideas, you're teaching others that your needs don't matter as much as theirs. You're showing them that it's okay to overlook your boundaries because you've shown them you'll compromise them without much resistance. Over time, this dynamic creates an imbalance in your relationships, leaving you feeling undervalued, unseen, and frustrated. Shrinking yourself can also lead to resentment, not just toward others, but toward yourself. When you constantly put others first and ignore your own needs, you might tell yourself it's for the greater good. But deep down, you may start to feel anger and frustration building. You might wonder why others don't reciprocate the same level of effort or why your sacrifices go unnoticed. The truth is, people can't value what you don't show them. If you've made it a habit to hide your strengths, suppress your opinions, or avoid standing up for yourself, how can anyone truly see the real you? Resentment grows when there's a gap between who you are and how you allow yourself to be treated. Breaking free from this cycle requires a mindset shift. It starts with the realization that taking up space isn't selfish. Speaking up, setting boundaries, and expressing your true self are acts of self-respect. They're not acts of aggression or hostility. They're simply affirmations that your voice, needs, and presence are just as important as anyone else's. You don't have to dim your light to make others feel more comfortable in their own. In fact, when you let yourself shine unapologetically, you inspire others to do the same. Confidence isn't about overpowering others. It's about standing in your own truth and inviting others to meet you there. One of the first steps to stop shrinking yourself is to practice saying no. For many, saying no feels uncomfortable, even wrong. You might worry about disappointing someone, damaging a relationship, or coming across as selfish. But every time you say yes to something you don't want, you're saying no to yourself. You're using your time, energy, and emotional resources on something that doesn't serve you. Learning to say no is an act of self-care. It's a way to protect your boundaries and prioritize what truly matters to you. The key is to remember that saying no doesn't mean you don't care about others, it means you care about yourself too. Another crucial step is to stop apologizing for your existence. Too often, people apologize for things they have no reason to be sorry for, whether it's expressing an opinion, taking up space in a room, or asking for help. Constant apologies diminish your presence and send the message that you're an inconvenience. Instead, practice speaking with confidence. Replace unnecessary apologies with gratitude or acknowledgement. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry for bothering you," try saying, "Thank you for your time." Small changes in how you communicate can have a big impact on how you perceive yourself and how others perceive you. It's also essential to own your accomplishments. Shrinking yourself often involves downplaying your achievements or deflecting praise. You might brush off a compliment or attribute your success to luck or others' help. While humility is valuable, constantly dismissing your own efforts undermines your confidence. The next time someone acknowledges your hard work, practice accepting it fully. A simple thank you is enough. You don't need to explain or minimize. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and recognize the effort and skill you brought to the table. As you begin to reclaim your space and assert your needs, you might face pushback from those who are used to you shrinking yourself. Some people might resist your boundaries or accuse you of changing. That's okay. Their discomfort isn't your responsibility. You can't control how others react to your growth, but you can control how you respond. Stay firm in your decisions and remind yourself why this shift is important. You're not here to live up to someone else's expectations. You're here to live authentically and unapologetically. When you stop shrinking yourself, you open the door to deeper, more meaningful connections. True relationships thrive when both people show up fully as themselves. By standing in your truth, you encourage others to do the same. You create a space where mutual respect, honesty, and equality can flourish. Taking up space isn't just about asserting your presence, it's about honoring who you are and what you bring to the world. Every time you choose to stand tall instead of shrinking, you send a powerful message, not just to others, but to yourself. You remind yourself that you are enough exactly as you are.